Welcome back to another episode of the House Husband Diaries. As always, I am your host, Carter C. And I'm happy to be back. So y'all will not have noticed any difference in my posting of videos because I post them every day. I set them. YouTube has a nice scheduling I don't know, platform so that I can record videos. And my wife and I went to Costa Rica last week, and so I recorded a week's worth of videos or so ahead of time and scheduled them out so that I could keep the schedule going and be consistent for everybody. So I'm out of practice. This is my first video in about a week and a half. So I'm excited to be back, and hopefully I look a little tanner. Probably not, but that's okay. We had a good time, and while I was gone, I was looking at some comments and trying to, whenever I had Wi-Fi and wasn't just completely trying to relax, decided to. I got a couple of comments that people wanted me to do different videos, and so this one, as you might have seen in the title, is about Alone, and this is for Alan K. So he put a comment and said, "Hey, I'd like to see a video of Alone," and that was down on my list of themes. I have a long list of themes. If you watch previous videos, I've got about 50 themes now or so, and some of them aren't themes. I should also say that. I have a whole bunch of themes, and then as I found out from K-Pro and Cow in their documentary footage and some of the stuff that they released, they asked Forrest Fenn about the word that is key, and so then I have added into the quote-unquote themes keywords. And so sometimes it is just a video on a keyword, but sometimes they're themes. A lot of times they're themes. And so at some point I'll also do some videos, probably in a couple months before they come out. But there's also some individuals that would be worth looking into. Hopefully this video has a lot better sound. I turned up the volume, so hopefully it's recording louder. Hopefully I don't blow the mic out. I also have another mic, which is a fair amount nicer than this mic. I know during the K-Pro and Cow Marathon, people were calling me nice mic guy. Don't let it fool you. This is not one of the most expensive mics out there. In fact, it's the opposite. So, doesn't matter who you are, it matters who people think you are. So, thanks for thinking that I'm the nice mic guy. One last piece of whatever, housekeeping, AGK, is my name. So I kind of, when I was in Costa Rica, Mike MEH decided, or he emailed me and said, "Hey, are you gonna pick up some sand for the World Sand Project for Toby and Shelley?" And I said, "Sure. Why not? Like, I'm here. How often am I going to be here?" And so I picked it up. I sent it. I mailed it to Toby and Shelley, and then I emailed Toby and Shelley and said, "Hey, watch out, the sand will get here," and I signed my name. And so when I say Carter C, that's just my middle initial, Carter C. I have a last name, but I didn't feel like it was pertinent, and it's a lot longer. It's multiple syllables, and I just, people get confused, so I just figured people would know Carter C. So instead of changing my name, because I'm so famous and Hollywoodish, I just didn't use the more complicated last name. So now there's a whole bunch of confusion. However, I still say Carter C, because that's still the first half of my name. And nobody really cares about that, so let's get to Alone. Alone is the theme. Alan K, thanks for shouting out and wanting a video. Also for other videos, I'm gonna come up. I'm working on a video. I think Ariel's art said wanted something about New Mexico, so I'm gonna do some videos about where I think it's hidden and that sort of stuff. That's coming, and then I'll kind of reshuffle some of my videos, and we'll keep on keeping on. And then I think one other person, I don't remember offhand, had written a comment back or early on when I was on vacation, or right when I was packing and trying to leave, about something about Eric Sloan's death. And I vaguely remember like K-Pro and Cal doing something or talking about it, or maybe it was AGK. I don't really remember. It was like a year ago. So I've never really looked into it. I've never really thought that it was the missing link to finding the treasure chest. It may be an aberration, but I will look into it at some point. I just have a lot of other themes to get through, and once I get through those themes, and I'll try to be expeditious in getting those videos recorded and scheduled, and then I'll do some more research. I'm imagining that researching someone's death and the situation surrounding that death versus how it was reported, I imagine it's going to take me a while to research that. I can't remember who you are that asked for that. I just I don't want to promise that and then get into something that I don't really know. So I will do one on that, and it may just say I don't know, but I'll let you know in the comments if it is that. But I like I said, I really don't think there's anything there. Maybe there is. Maybe I will eat my own words. But it's the good thing about having a YouTube channel and doing videos is you can eat your own words. You can say it. I will publicly eat them. So without further ado, let's go to alone. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. At least 9 mentions of alone in The Thrill of the Chase. And as always, I am reading from the 11th edition, 11th printing. And we start, the first mention of alone, and this is just outright mention of alone. Because I was looking at page, I think it was 15, the big printed one. And he says at the bottom, so now I sit here past midnight, which is another theme that we'll get to. Beside my juniper fire, reflecting back to the year when my awareness took its first few steps. Well, if he's sitting there past midnight, he's alone. He doesn't mention it. It's implicit that he's sitting past midnight by his fire, and he's a night owl, and I'm more of a night owl. My wife's less of a night owl, so she'll go to sleep, and then as you sit by a fire, I imagine that's probably pretty similar. So these are explicit mentions of alone, and I didn't search for solo or anything else. It's just alone, and we'll get to it. So this page 24, is in Jumpstarting the Learning Curve. And this page has so many themes. I have mentioned this page so many times. And in previous videos, I've always said, it's just crazy how sentences are connected. They're contiguous, just like the clues. And he says that the hints, sorry, I don't know what's going on outside today's days for yard work people in my neighborhood, and they're so loud, and now they're like creeping by the window, and it's just, I've got all these lights on trying to make this room brighter, and it's really obnoxious. So, anywho, apologies for that. So it's really interesting because if you watch some of the prior videos, now I secretly love that old lady Ford. I say old lady. You got. Anyway, there's a lot here that I've already mentioned, and if I haven't mentioned it, it's coming up in other videos. So let's see. So alone, he says, 1, 2, third paragraph down. I always thought that if you left things alone, maybe they'd go away, but not this time. I knew it was about to enter personality rehab. Her mouth was moving in fast cadence with her choppy steps, and it was obvious that rage had found a home. We talked about home. choppy steps, warm is comfortable. Anyway, as far as alone goes, I thought if you left things alone, maybe they'd go away, but not this time. So if you leave things alone to let things die down, I don't know how that helps us with the clues. I really, like, this one I didn't star as a mention that I thought was something. I've noticed it when I've read it multiple times, and I've kind of said, okay, if you leave things well enough alone, just let it go. How does that help find a treasure? I mean, he says later on at the end of, one of the last chapters when he's talking about hiding the chest and all of that jazz, at the end he talks about the reason why he didn't hide, or he took so long to hide the chest, is that plans are antagonistic to freedom or something like that, and the flexibility you need. And so I wondered if leaving it alone was sort of like, I'm not planning, whatever. If you just leave the poem alone, if you leave the book alone, think, live life a little bit, come back to it, maybe you'll come up with something instead of just trying so hard. But that's the only thing I can come up with on that. All right, page 78. Here we go again. That's why I mentioned page 15. My war for me. Second full paragraph, right at the beginning. So it is with me now, as I sit here past midnight, alone with only myself to know. Now, in order to do this sentence justice, you have to go back to the paragraph before, so I'll read that. And it's really interesting because when you take English classes and they teach you how to write, they say, like your first opening paragraph, your first sentence, opening sentence of the paragraph needs to be kind of what the paragraph's about. Then you have the body, and then you have a closing sentence. And then the opening sentence of the next paragraph should be like a transition. Well, this one is really good. The paragraph before. Many professional soldiers who have been in the throes of life or death experiences may be forever branded by an incident, although it may have lasted only a minute or two. Later, in one's reverie, those memories can come sparking back when ignited by something innocently said or something thought. If you see a warrior staring off, quietly move away. So it is with me now. So he's in a reverie. He's thinking. He's back in his memory. He's writing my war for me. He's staring off in the distance. He's thinking. So he's sitting there alone, past midnight, with only himself, with only myself to know. Himself, with only himself to know, myself to know. So I don't know what you guys think about midnight. I'm going to do a video on that, but it's a little spoiler. And when I say I'm going to do a video on it, I mean, I've already got like the next 3 weeks of Fenn related content ready to record. I've been doing a lot of research while I was on vacation. So it's going to be like a couple months from now, probably be like March or April before you see one of those videos, or on midnight probably, unless I move it up because people request it or something. But I wonder if Forrest hid the chest at midnight, or went out late at night. And so normally the place where he hid the chest in the daytime has a fair number of people. It's fairly public. And the reason why there was no one around isn't because it's so far out in the woods and so far off the beaten path. The reason why people weren't around is because nobody's around at midnight. And he's a night owl. And if you don't want to be seen, doing something, you do it at night. That's when he went through the graveyard. That's when he had time to think. It's when you go hear the gypsies. It's when you're sitting by a fire. You're trying to know yourself. All right, I'm getting hyped up on a theme that is not the theme of this video. But I think it connects because he says, as I sit here past midnight, alone with only myself to know. And he talks about, in the point, as I have gone alone in there, I can keep my secret where? Well, maybe he went alone in there because it's midnight. And he gets to know himself. Okay. Page 80. Down at the bottom. It's really page 81. The deal was struck. So he's talking about when he saw, he said, that beautiful place. He made a deal with a beautiful place. The deal was struck. You bring me back, and I'll come down there and personally thank you. The deal was struck. I trusted it, and it could trust me. It was our secret alone. Secret and alone. Secret alone. All right, so he's made a pact with this place, which obviously is an easy connection to say, okay, he's made a pact with this place where he actually hid the treasure chest as well. That's an easy connection. So he trusts that place. The place could trust him, and it was their secret alone. Two people can keep a secret if one of them is dead. If it's a place, then, of course, the tall grass knows, the trees know, but they won't tell. In Flywater, and I'm sure we'll get there, he talks about he thought it was his place alone, and people will now fish there with no care or memory or thought that maybe that was his place. I don't think this place is his alone. I don't think it's so far out. I think the secret place, I think he's playing that up. He was there alone at a time, and he knows none of these places are his alone, right? Even if it's public land, it's everybody's land. If it's private land, I mean, this is something I was going to say a long time ago, whether it was in the marathon when I was doing the tax stuff, or I saw something, maybe it was on another show after the marathon, and somebody was talking about private property and owning. But what's really interesting about property ownership in the U.S., and I don't know about other countries, but you don't actually own your property, even if you have the title and the deed. I know that sounds crazy, and you're going, okay, I'm going to shut this off, but hear me out. You pay $1 million for a ranch, okay, $30 million, whatever. You pay a couple $100,000 for a house, right? It's yours. You have the title. You have all the legal paperwork, everything, it's yours. Now, next year comes, right? Don't pay your property taxes. Try it. Try telling the government that you own that house, you own that land, and you don't have to pay property taxes because you already own the land or the house or all of it. And then come back and tell me, after you haven't paid your property taxes, whether or not you still own that house, whether or not you still own that land, whether or not you still live there. Because I guarantee you, you don't pay your property taxes, and it ain't yours anymore. So you're just renting it. Well, let's be honest. Even when you think you own something, you're just renting. And your monthly rent or your yearly rent is your property taxes. It's just like a car, just like everything else. You may own that car, but you can't drive it on the street unless you pay your yearly DMV sticker for your license plate. You can't operate it. You may own it, but you can't operate it. So, oh, the taxes, man, taxes. It'll get you every time. I know I'm all over the place. So, uh, let's get back to it. It was our secret alone. It could trust. I trusted it, and it could trust me. I mean, what do we do here, right? With alone. I mean, he is. He's alone. He was alone when he did it. I think somebody might know something more than what they're letting on, but I have no proof at this point. Page 89, alone. I don't think there's anything here as top of the page. Still in my war for me. Nevertheless, I am convinced that thousands of animals, human and otherwise, were killed in Vietnam by sound alone. I really don't think sound alone has anything to do with it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe does the treasure chest make a ping, and you just I don't think there's anything there. All right, page 97. Look at this. We're moving through. Oh yeah. So this is great. So what's really cool, I think I said this somewhere else in another video, but on the page prior, page 96, he's talking about where he flew from Stephenville, Newfoundland, to Pope Field, North Carolina. And Pope Field is like right there. It's like 20 miles or so, 30 miles, I don't know. It's not far. As the crow flies. So he was flying on down to North Kakalaka. Forrest Fenn, I don't know if you're watching any of these videos, and I doubt you're 20 minutes into this video. However, come on back to North Carolina, man. So, 97. The impersonal lights were there. But I was all alone. Bottom of the second full paragraph. No one was around. So this is interesting, right? He's talking about his that flight and the high altitude. I remember the air was quiet, even over the large populated areas. Now, I'm going to tell you, for those of you who aren't Eastern Seaboard residents, which is a fair number of you, flying up and down the Eastern Seaboard is not smooth most of the time. Most of my bumpiest flights have been up and down the Eastern Seaboard, whether it's flying. I mean, I've had some smooth ones. I just flew back, Charlotte to Raleigh, North Carolina was really smooth last week. Raleigh to Boston usually is fairly bumpy. And I don't mean crazy turbulence. I just mean it's just not smooth. It's, for whatever reason. And flying into Boston sucks. That airport is always windy and it's always bumpy. Anywho, the air was quiet, even over the large populated areas. No one was around. And then it's a different theme. So no one was around. No one was on the radio. No one to talk to. The impersonal lights were there, but I was all alone. The impersonal lights were there. Could that be a subtle hint that even though he was alone, he went in there alone? Maybe there were impersonal lights near the area where he hid the treasure. He's there alone. It's late at night. Nobody's around because it's late at night, but the impersonal lights were there. I think it's interesting. I think that might be it, actually. That's something that I'm looking at. Page 113. Only 4 more. I love the teasers with ropes as well. It's a really interesting story. I think there's something in there. A lot of these are really interesting, right? Why did he pick all of these? But when he talks about the senses, the 5 senses, humans possess 5 senses: sight, smell, touch, taste, and hearing. So how do we use those? But in most situations where art is concerned, they're only allowed to use, or they are allowed to use only their eyes, and many times the object behind, or the object being observed, is behind glass. Now, this past summer, a year ago almost, my wife and I went to France, and we got to go to the Louvre and see the Mona Lisa. That is terrible. It's an ugly painting. I don't, whatever. However, it is exactly that. It is behind all kinds of glass, behind, you can't get up close. There's tons of people, and then everybody's taking selfies. I took a selfie, posted it on my Instagrams, and was like not impressed. But you're only supposed to use your eyes. That separation is too impersonal in my view. It's why I wanted the students to touch George Washington. In doing so, the painting might provide another dimension, one that is not available to the eyes alone. Now, I wondered if he's saying, think about the big picture of the chase, of the poem. And maybe, just maybe, we need to use other senses. Maybe some of these clues aren't just visual. I mean, he's told K-Pro, Cal, and some other people, did you dip your toe in it? I don't know, maybe there's some feeling. He said it'll be worth the cold. We're looking at it at the eyes, so we're using our sight, but, maybe there's some smell involved. Maybe there's some touch involved. Maybe there's some tasting. I doubt there's tasting involved, let's be honest. I don't think he went around licking stuff. And hearing, I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me if there was use some different senses. All right, page 125. Great paragraph. Top of the page, 125, chapters Fly Water. Those great places, which were personal secrets to me then, are now busy with the flourish of fishermen and women who cast a midge or floating caddis upon those same waters, never knowing I had been there or even caring yes or no. I always thought that space was mine alone, and many of the memories there bred are even now still so personal that they exclude the intrusion of strangers. How dare they go there? I mean, that's a silly question at the end, right? Because he says in many of the memories that he has there, even now, are still so personal that they exclude the intrusion of strangers. So when he says it's my place alone, it's my secret place, his memories exclude the intrusion of strangers. I think it's in a more public place than people are seem to be the consensus. Because he's saying he has the power of imagination, which means I went in there alone. Sure, he went in there alone because nobody saw him hide the treasure chest, because if they did, it would have been found by now. But he can imagine that place being his alone, even though there's thousands of people. Now, some people go, oh, it's in Yellowstone. That's what you're saying. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I don't think it's in Yellowstone. I'll eat my words if it is, but I don't think it's there. All right, page 132. Second to last mention. Everybody know what page 132 is? The poem. The poem. The poem. As I have gone alone in there. I think he went alone in there. I think he went alone in there that night when he hit it. But I don't think it's a private place. I don't think it's so secluded that you have to go find somewhere out crazy. I don't know. Kind of waffling. I don't know how many trees there are in private places or public places where, people wouldn't just stumble across it. I think there's, I don't know. I'm working on some solves, and hopefully I'll be able to share those in a couple months and really try to nail down a solve that I can share. I mean, I'd share any solve, but I just don't have it because I can't marry them to clues, right, or places. I'm not I'm not trying to stretch and have confirmation bias, so I just don't have a complete one, or I don't really have a starting place, or I'm not just going to choose a starting place and say, okay, now I'm going to try to marry the clues. That's just not how I work. So maybe I'll do a video on how to make a solve, or maybe I should get Lurker Mike to help me since he has like 150 of them. Okay, last mention of alone. And I don't think there's anything here. I just think he's making a statement. And what I've learned that's most important is that both countries and people should know enough to just leave other folks alone and do a better job of protecting our planet. And I think that's really, I think that's really it. I think alone is, I think it's part of the ploy for making us think that it's somewhere so secluded. It's somewhere out there. He went in there alone. It's his waterfall. It's his pool that nobody knows about. He was flying in his plane from New Mexico up to Montana to West Yellowstone, and all the times in between when he was going up to the board of whatever in Cody, and then he's just spent so much time in the air. He identified this place, and he's the only person that knows it. And it's somewhere out there, and now we have to go find this crazy, secluded place. And he went there when he was 79 or 80, and he hit it at 40 some pounds of chest and contents. I just don't think it's somewhere so secluded. I mean, let's put it this way. I know the western part of the United States is much more rugged than the eastern part of the United States where I live. It's less populated per square mile and more rugged. So having driven out there a year and a half ago or so, up and through Wyoming, Yellowstone, Montana, Idaho, the Dakotas, having been to Colorado before, I've been through all of those states before. So a long time ago for some of those states, but there's tons of land that is hard to get to. I was just in Costa Rica, as I said. We rented a car. We went to a very rugged place where we had to ford a river. We had to drive through. We were in dirt and gravel roads with huge, rocks, and then a river came through, and we had to go drive through. It was only, 8 inches of water, a foot of water. But still, my wife wasn't totally thrilled about it. I thought it was a great adventure. But, I don't think if you're 79 or 80 years old, you're going to be off the beaten path like that. If something happens and you don't get a chance to hide the treasure where you want to hide it, and then somebody finds, your car in some crazy place, and they find the treasure chest, and I don't know. It doesn't seem, it doesn't fit logic, in my opinion, that he would be so far out somewhere that we're just trying to find this crazy secluded place, and people have gone, and people have died, people have gone and said, well, I had such a hard time, but I knew my solve was so good, and I was in this canyon. I think there's a play on words there. I think he's alone because in his mind, he can just block everyone out. And if you have the power of imagination, then, it is yours alone. He's there alone. He hit it alone. I know that he hit it when he was alone. But I think all of this alone stuff is a big, I don't want to say red herring, because it's not a red herring, but I do think it's a misdirection in that we're thinking about this in a way that is making it more difficult because we're trying to look into these crazy secluded places. So I feel like I'm just kind of rambling now, but that was my video on alone. Alan K. Let me know if you have any thoughts, questions, anybody. But if you have anything else, I'd love to bounce any ideas. If there's something I didn't think about, something I missed, let me know. As always, thanks so much for liking, for watching, for sharing. And if you have anything else you want me, any other topics you want to hear about, let me know. So have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.